Remember the good old days in Silicon Valley, where it seemed like every internet entrepreneur was getting financing for their company, no matter how questionable their business plan was? Venture capitalist Steve Jurvetson sure does.
I do remember vividly getting 3 business proposals for selling pantyhose on the web. Nothing but pantyhose. Gazelle.com got venture financed.
Let's not forget how easy venture financing was. Digg's co-founder and CEO Jay Adelson recalls.
In the case of my startup in 1998, Equinix, we went public in 2000, and we raised, I think, in the first 5 years of that business, $980 million, right? A capitally intensive business. Could never be done. Could never be done now.
Veteran venture capitalist Pitch Johnson remembers Silicon Valley's go-go days.
During the late 90s, you remember how that was. All you had to do was get a few thousand hits on a website, and you didn't have to make any money. You could raise all kinds of money and go public on nothing. Them days is gone.
Now Silicon Valley is facing one of its toughest economic times.
The depression that we had in the 30s was far worse. But of the things I've seen since 1962, some low spots in the 70s and in the 80s were not this serious.
Tim Draper, co-founder of global venture capital firm Draper Fisher Jurvetson, agrees on the severity of this recession.
We're the piece that got sort of knocked to the side. And it's a little bit too bad because entrepreneurship and venture capital are exactly what the country needs right now, and the world needs right now. These entrepreneurs who start new businesses help create new jobs, and that is what we're really lacking right now when the economy comes down like this.
Howard Hartenbaum is a partner at August Capital.
Think about the bad recession in the late 70s and early 80s that we were going through. And people at that time were saying, oh, how are we ever going to pull ourselves out of this? And this is going to go on for a long time. And what was it? It was Microsoft. A whole new industry came up with personal computers and the software to manage that, which has been driving innovation for decades since then.
It may seem counterintuitive to launch a startup during a recession, but many have successfully done so, just like William Hewlett and David Packard did during the Great Depression in this garage in downtown Palo Alto. Now a new crop of entrepreneurs are following in their footsteps, undaunted by the economic crisis. Rohack recently founded Gulliver's Travels, and he received the same comments from friends and family when he announced he was leaving his job to launch a startup.
People said, what are you going to do about the economy? What are you going to do about the economy?
A true entrepreneur, it's something that is in their soul, and they have to do it no matter what, whether they get money or not. I remember talking to a painter, and the painter said, I said, well, so, is this something you love to do? And he just said, no, it's something I have to do. And I think if an entrepreneur, most of the best entrepreneurs just feel that they were put on this planet for this purpose alone, and that is what they're doing.
David Hornik, partner at August Capital, agrees.
Because I do think that entrepreneurship is a special sort of mental illness that requires, you have to be truly fanatical about the thing which you're pursuing, whatever that may be. Maybe it's a medical device, maybe it's an internet startup, maybe it's a piece of hardware, whatever it is. You have to really care about that in ways that you don't care. No rational person should care about something and should be willing to take these risks.
There are those like 25-year-old CEO Thomas Foley who feel that they are realizing their aspirations.
Being an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley it's a dream come true.
However, the reality of the economic environment can be a bit more nightmarish.
It's really impacting every startup in every way. It's incredibly hard to raise money. There are a few people out there who can, make a few phone calls, or actually, I suppose it's send a few emails, and boom, you've raised $2 million. But that really is a very, very small number of people.
a small group that Renee Lacerte has the privilege of being a part of. Lacerte left a stable job at Intuit to start Paycycle, which was recently purchased by his old employer for $170 million.
Because I'm fortunate with the success of Paycycle, and the fact that Intuit just bought Paycycle, gives me even more credibility and makes it easier. So all my friends that don't have that success and this is their first time company, they're very worried about it.
The vast majority of people raising money for a startup just have to talk to everyone.
Going through the process of actually raising capital, it's like being on a bunch of blind dates and everyone turning you down every time. You got to get used to rejection.
So you can imagine if you're a first-time entrepreneur who's coming out of, let's say you're coming out of a big company or you're coming out of a university and you have a great idea but you have no track record, then it's really challenging.
No one knows this better than Dries Bennemoor, a recent graduate of Stanford Business School and co-founder of HedgeMe, a startup that allows small private investors to hedge or protect their portfolios. The HedgeMe team is about to get a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to pitch to the man that funded Hotmail, Baidu, and Skype. Here is an unprecedented look at what goes on behind the doors of one of Silicon Valley's most famed VC firms.
Hi, nice to see you.
Why doesn't one of you tell me
what HedgeMe is about? What we really do is we give you a way to put a floor on your loss.
So, for example, if it falls, pay a lot in brokerage fees. The idea is to actually negotiate with the brokers. We're going to try to strike a balance there that is good for them and good for us too. So
What happens when they go back to school?
It'll depend on each person's commitment and limit.
So once we develop the Facebook application, which goal is to acquire the first user base in order to get some leverage to talk to.
You two are friends. Are you dating?
No.
No.
We're not.
Cool. Terrific. Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Great. Nice to see you. Terrific.
The meeting with Team Draper was among our first venture capitalist meeting, so it's the one where we learned the most, made mistakes, learned from them, and progressed. We had tough questions, challenging questions, whether it's on the idea itself and more importantly on the team, which we didn't have before. So team brought up a new aspect of feedback, which was noticing some team dynamics we had that we could work on, and we've been working on those quite substantially since then, and right now our team has progressed immensely as a result of that. So
I'm not interested in doing HedgeMe right now. I think HedgeMe is has great potential to it as a business, as an idea. But the idea is really, 1%, and the dedication and drive and whatever is 99%. And so when I interviewed the HedgeMe guys, I noticed that none of them were really sure they wanted to be there. Once they've done their soul searching and maybe 6 months or a year has gone by, I'd be happy to take another look at that one.
The HedgeMe team also met with Tim Draper's father, William Draper, one of the first and most successful venture capitalists in Silicon Valley.
They had an algorithm to show how their hedge fund was going to make money for investors, and they're a dime a dozen on Wall Street. As bright as they are, creative as they are, it's hard to believe that 1,000 people that went ahead of them with the same concepts didn't already cover that.
Nevertheless, an entrepreneur can take note of the lessons learned from Lacerte when he was on the fundraising circuit.
The primary lesson would be persistence and focus on what you believe in and what you think is the right thing to do for the company. When we raised money, our first round at Paycycle, I talked to 80 VCs, and got one to put money in. It took a lot of work to actually get down to those 1 or 2 folks that really saw what we were doing, that could take the long-term horizon and be able to invest behind that.
The hurdles for new entrepreneurs in this recession are vast, but so are the opportunities. This is Marie de Vera reporting from the birthplace of Silicon Valley. Thanks so much for watching.